da, 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 da. On a serious note, what do I think about the Gold Cup and the World Cup being played at the same time? Chaos. Um, it's chaotic because, and JD, I'll ask you your input on this too,
Mm-hmm.
because if they're playing at the same time, this is the only major tournament for the USA, Mexico, and Canada. So the assumption was they were going to be bringing their full squads for this tournament, assuming
Mm-hmm.
which they will be there for. So now when you have Club World Cup, the club, now you're dealing with the clubs versus that. It makes it another tournament where more likely than not, you're not going to have full squads, right? And that's just a bit of the reality. If you have to play, is Bayer going to say, "Yeah, Alfonso Davies, you can go play for Canada at this tournament, but we'll be fine at this Club World Cup"? To be honest, though, I think they would because I don't think a lot of teams. I'm curious as to of how a lot of teams have been talking about this tournament, to whether or not they will approach it, say, as the old iterations of it, where it was just basically 1-2 games you go. They're trying to play this as effectively. I look at this as a World Cup. Yeah, I look at this as a World Cup run dress rehearsal. The Club World Cup going to 32 teams. I think this is their World Cup dress rehearsal just for the infrastructure for the U.S. And then for Gold Cup, they just have the game in. They have one stadium in Vancouver. But other than that, I think it'll be interesting. But I don't think the big clubs will release their big players, which means ultimately you're going to have another Gold Cup where some teams have their full squads
Mm-hmm.
and some teams have B's and C's, and that's just the reality of it. What do you think about it?
Well, tell you what, that's how the world works. It's a lot of football. We heard Rodri complain about it. So persons will prioritize. They're getting a lot of money to play for these clubs, so they're gonna go there and do what they have to do. Um, and then now that will make United States tap into their depth. All right, majority of the players them that will be available will be American playing base, so it's going to be slightly weaker. But I still believe that will help Pochettino and working on his craft. So he's going to find the depth. And then whenever whoever comes in, they're going to match on what the friendlies that they've actually played in. So that's what I would say still. They have never used their full squads naturally in the Gold Cup, so I don't think nothing really changed. What will happen now is for Jamaica, for Mexico, for a Canada to take it more serious and go there and improve on themselves. So and improve on their actual first team instead of their depth. So they can have an advantage over United States for further competitions to come. So it can turn out into a way where in which Pochettino gets to know his depth a little bit more, but and decides that okay, they are not the ones that I want to work with. No, I'm gonna stick with my full team, and I'm not gonna try and mix in anyone because I've not found anyone. You understand me? So it can serve for two different purposes. But I would say, as a coach, you would always want your best product available. But you have to just work with it because you took the job. You should know that these were cases.
Mhm. No, that's true, but I think what the Gold Cup presents, but then it also kind of ties into like the other topic, which is just the overall aspect of duels. We're seeing a lot of conversation with duels. I know the big one here is he's in the title, Mason Greenwood, seeming like he's very much about to put on the the fitted boots. I was about to say the Adidas boots, but I don't want to say that he's been signed by Adidas because someone will complain, and Adidas will have to make a statement and say, well, we have signed with Jamaica, but we have not signed any players as of yet." But I do think it's interesting because I think that that Gold Cup, alongside with what those three countries were hosting, what it does, it opens up for this Gold Cup to be very. I think this Gold Cup could be very interesting because you could have more teams really going all out for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because outside of that, it's just Nations League, then Gold Cup, and then we're back to because March window is going to be World Cup qualifiers. Is it not? I believe so. We will double check. but it could make the Gold Cup one of the more competitive ones with a lot of teams which are qualifying for it, really pushing to say, hey, we have the World Cup in 2026 coming, which they all know. And maybe this might be a real nice sampling of what teams are trying to do. Maybe this is the Gold Cup is for some countries, for like say your Honduras's, your Panamas, your Jamaicas. Maybe the Gold Cup is their dress rehearsal and saying, hey, let's bring the best of that we can bring, have them play. Let's go for the goal, go for the trophy. Maybe you win it, maybe you don't, but then you tweak things and you go to your September window, your October windows, and you say, okay, at the Gold Cup, we learned that we still don't have a midfield. Jamaica, we fixed that. Or if you're Honduras, you say, okay, we need to improve on the fullback play. Cool. We know that playing this tournament. The Gold Cup is going to be so much of a dress rehearsal, but just opening it up, do you think that you're going to see more and more of those duels who are on the fence getting roped in, for lack of better words, to represent just with the possibility of, say, playing out a Gold Cup, or more than likely playing out a World Cup on a soil that is a little bit easier to qualify for?
Yes, I would say that because the World Cup is here, it makes everything easier to convince people based on the fact that you're looking at the region, you're checking the quality coming from the region because everyone can scan the teams and realize that, okay, we have this and we have that, and this is what we have. We're going to use Jamaica as a reference. We have this, we have almost 25 pieces in Jamaica, but we would need a next 10 pieces so we can have even extra depth. And we know that we might have the best squad right there. So, me making one out of the 10 will just make it closer and closer to the main team. So if we're going to use that same team to go to the Gold Cup, it should be expected that we're going to get a medal right there. So we're going to get the first or we're going to get the second. So those are the opportunities I want to come and get, because if I'm coming from, i.e., England, I am not sure if I win the Euros. I am not sure if I win the World Cup. I'm not sure if I win anything at all, because England have not won anything at all in the men's part, because they've just won the Euros for ladies. You understand me? So yes, it's a selling point for a lot of people. Yes, and countries should make sure they take advantage of this. They should make sure they take advantage of this, and I think that they are doing it. All right. Yes. So the aim is go there, try and take the Gold Cup out of Mexico's hands, because it's going to be Mexico being the main team. Period at this point, and Mexico might be at one of its low points. So it's a good selling, I mean, selling, and it's a good point you brought up right there, because one of the players that we have in the title, which is Mason Greenwood, um, let me give you a story. Maybe a lot of don't know, not the people don't know this, but or maybe some would. Deshaun Bernard, I saw Deshaun Bernard showing Mason Greenwood his medal, his third place medal. From the Nations League situation, you understand me? And it showcased that something is happening, and of course, these events really make you take different steps, and it's a real thing. Yeah, yeah.